Hello everyone, I'm Jaslovleen and today I'm here on this Indian Academy of Neurology talk show with a very special guest, Professor Kailash Bhatia. Although this name needs no further introduction, but when I was given this huge task, I'd have to do a lot of research, what to ask him or what to say in the introduction. And my husband comes up with this most weird idea. He was asking me, Jas, have you seen Sundar Pichai interviewing Shah Rukh Khan? I was like, wait a minute, did you compare me to Sundar Pichai? I think I was comparing myself with Karan Johar from Coffee with Karan Johar or randomly with Simi Garewal. Why Sundar Pichai? It's like, you're not getting the idea. People were mesmerized in that interview with Shah Rukh Khan or in your case, Prof Bhatia. I really like that comparison actually, because I think Prof Bhatia, you're truly an artist. And I love the way you practice this art of neurology, the way you pick up on these subtle signs of neurology, that perfect syndromic approach that you do, putting all the puzzles in a box and giving us those stellar diagnoses, and then giving us those atypical, never-ending atypical disorders. And yet you make it look so classy and easy. Thank you so much for taking out time. And I hope this talk show is more fun to you. And we're going to ask a few questions and few memories we're going to share with you at the end of this.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jas, taking the time, and to the Indian Academy as well.
Okay. So, Prof, in your previous interviews, you have often mentioned us about the journey that you traveled from India to London, of how did you reach there? And you've also often spoke about Anita Harding, how did you started that research? But today, we really want to know that how did it start in India, about your journey from your medical school, then being the chief medical officer in emergency department, Pune Medical College, reaching JJ Medical College. Why medicine?
Yeah, I think I wouldn't say that I had decided in my early life that I will want to do medicine and that's what all I would want to do. I think in India at that time, I mean, coming from a middle-class background, having schooled initially in Delhi. I was born in Delhi, and I then moved to Mumbai. My father was a government servant, and in those days, there was only two things which your parents wanted you to do, either become a doctor or an engineer. And I followed that without thinking. But at some stage, I realized that I was not interested in engineering, and I wanted to enter medicine if that was the only two choices. So I did my college years in Jai Hind College in Mumbai, and then which was sort of thought to be a pathway for getting into medical school. And I got, I'm very proud to say, into Grand Medical College, JJ Hospital, where in fact I did almost all my training. So I think of JJ Hospital days as wonderful days, which I remember as being very happy and of course with a lot of fun, but also learning. So they were really great days. I don't think, as I said, that I wanted to be a doctor from the beginning. I was sort of, I got into it, and I'm glad that I did, because I have enjoyed this journey. When it came to the question about what sort of doctor do you want to be after you've been in medicine, I was mesmerized by the lectures with Professor Naushir Wadia. And that's when I decided that I want to do neurology. This was even in our undergraduate and early postgraduate days. So neurology became the thing I wanted to do. In that journey, I think in India, I was very fortunate. I was really fortunate because I had such good teachers right from the beginning. In my general medicine, I had B.J. Vakil, O.P. Kapoor, Sharat Shah, and of course in neurology as a house officer, Professor Singhal, B.S. Singhal. So these people influenced me quite early, and I don't think one should forget also the colleagues you have, senior colleagues who were residents then at that time, who also influence you. And then in neurology, of course, I got my DM with Sarosh Khatrak, Dr. Sarosh Khatrak, who's absolutely fantastic. So this business about picking up science, Sarosh is, I think, really the person who is absolutely amazing at it and also keeps up to date. Wants you to, be very particular. He will be nitty-picky, but that's very good because, it trains you to learn how to sort of see things. So I had a wonderful, wonderful journey in my early years over there in India before I came here. So I really am thankful to all these people who trained me.
Right. I think you're very much right, Prof. The teachers, they do affect a lot of our journey and help us decide what we do in future. They inspire us, they influence us in many ways. True. Would you please also like to tell us something about your time in JJ College? There was
JJ was, as I told you, was really a fantastic place, I think, to train, but also the camaraderie, the friendships you make at that time, which last you, through life. And I had a number of pals who are still pals. Mohit Bhatt is one of them. We were in the same batch because Bhatia and Bhatt, yes, we were always together. We would study together, have fun together, get thrown out of the class together. It was always Bhatia, but out of the out of the class because. So yeah, I think JJ was really great in that regard. And I was telling you that, also when you are doing your residency, people influence you, whom you come across. So if I talk about neurology, the introduction to neurology really to movement disorders through neurology, I would guess was because of Sudhir Kothari, who, we had a case, I remember, of a sort of a Parkinsonism. And Sudhir said that they come and look at his eyes, and we didn't know anything about PSP in those days. And then he was talking about that there is this field of movement disorders, and there's David Marsden. And Sudhir was finishing, and he lent me his book.
So that's that blue book.
That's the book which introduced me to movement disorders. You can still see his name on it.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Sudhir did mention about this book.
Yeah, that's right. And I wanted to tell Sudhir that I did justice to it. I read the whole thing and I made my notes in that. So yeah. So he that's when I first heard about Marsden. And so, you meet people like that. There were so many people who influence you in your, and, neurology at that time in JJ was, how should I say it, was so exciting, because on one hand we had these great, and the leaders like B.S. Singhal, Dr. Khatrak, Anita Mehta, and so on. And then we had people like Sudhir and Rajan Kale and so on. And it was really an exciting place. There were 2 units, and we would attend everything, both sides. So I used to only go home probably once in a week just to get some new clothes. But the rest of the time we would spend on the, learning from each other, learning from the cases which were admitted. It was really fantastic. So, and then you start teaching yourself, as a registrar, you teach yourself. So Charu Sankla Sawant was my SHO.
Okay.
So all these people, so it was a great teamwork. It was great fun at JJ. I think JJ is a fantastic place. It really is.
So when I called up Dr. Sudhir Kothari a few days back regarding this, he had 2 things to share with me. One is this blue book, and he really wanted to see that. Second, he was really talking about your bike, that maybe once you took him on his bike and he was really scared. He said you drove really nice, but so there was this.
Yeah, well, when you was, I had a few motorbikes, but there's one particular one which was a Yamaha RD350, which was bright red, and it was my pride, and it was really fast. And I used to study the whole day, for the attend wards, etc. And in the evening, I would feel like having a little, like a breakthrough or a blast. So in the night, I used to take the bike out, big roar it usually parked under the hospital, and when you started at night, make a lot of noise, and then you roar off just to go and have a fast drive somewhere.
Was it
a number of mishaps as well on that bike, which Mumbai seems to be full of stray cows and badly lit roads and handcart pullers and who come out of nowhere. So there were a number of near misses and some small, accidents too. Yeah, but yes, that bike was famous. Yes.
Right. So we know something more than the book as well.
Yes.
Right. So when you planned to go to London, Prof, did you always plan to settle down in London, or was it just for that one research that you went with?
Yeah, so actually I had no plans to go abroad. I wanted to finish my DM. My father was very keen that I start practice. As I told you, we were from a middle-class background, and he couldn't understand why I was still deferring, not starting, settling down, as he called it. I just felt that I needed a little, after I finished my DM, I didn't feel complete. I thought I needed a little more about, just to spend some time in research. I don't know why I felt that, but I had that urge, and hence I spoke with Sarosh, and I then went and met Professor Bhatia at Jaslovleen, and he told me, come and join me, and we'll do some research. And it was a great learning experience as well. And he told me to look at MS in Parsis. Now, I had no idea about, how to do this.
Right.
So I wrote, I thought about it, and I thought maybe I should find out from some people who know, how does one do this?
Right.
So I wrote to Kurtzky. I wrote a letter to Kurtzky scale, remember, EDS scale for
Yes.
MS. And I wrote to him and I said, I'm just a nobody, and I'm trying to do this. And how would you suggest one does it? And he actually, I never thought I'd get an answer, but I did. And he said, that's a very fascinating population. And if I were you, I would do a case control study. So we in India, we never had any training about how to do case control studies or do any of these research projects properly. So,
right.
So I did a case control study, and I wrote a paper, and I asked Professor Bhatia to, I said, here it is. And he said, send it to Neurology India. So I told him, I said, I think I've done a good study. Can we send it to Annals of Neurology? And he said, there has never been a paper of an Indian study made in India published in the Annals of Neurology, the American journal. So he says, so what's the harm? So we tried, and we sent it. And in those days, there used to be faxes, not emails or this. So some months later, we got a fax and a thing saying, there were these minor comments, and the paper was accepted. So that's when Bhatia called me to this office and said, sit down, Dikra. Maybe you should go abroad. Where would I go? So he said, well, I have a few friends. We can try. And that's how I actually, with a very small grant for 6 months, only £2,000 alone, I came to Queensquare to work with Anita. And because Bhatia was interested in doing the SCA, as you know, at that time, SCA2, meaning it was still known as Bhatia-Swami syndrome. So we wanted to sort that out, and that's how I ended there. But the idea was that I finish in 6 months and come back.
Okay.
But then, of course, what happened is that I met David Marsden and Anita, and then slowly, you know, he offered me a fellowship, and time went by, and then there was a lecturership, and then a senior lecturership. And, I got, stuck in a good place, but stuck nevertheless.
Right. So we knew about this, that research that you went for Anita Harding, but this writing to Kurtzky, and this is very fascinating, in fact.
Mm-hmm.
One says one is has a perseverance for a thing. I think that's how you reach there. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, it was not, even apart from writing Kurtzky, the other thing was when I did the statistics, and I found that, yeah, actually there was a higher prevalence of MS in Parsis. Then the question was why? And
Right.
so I was asking, in those days we didn't have genes. And I went, off my own bat, I went to the, HLA typing had started.
Okay.
And I thought maybe they have different HLA type, which they did actually. Later it was found. So I went and met this lady in Tata Institute, and I asked her whether she'll do HLA typing for these people. So there were some initiatives we took, and I was surprised that we were able to write that paper.
Right. Prof, we know how much you adore Marsden, actually, because in any meeting, any conference, or even when I was there for a short time in clinics with you, I often heard you quoting him at least once a day. Especially that quote, I still remember that the eyes won't see what the brain doesn't know, and
the mind doesn't know. The eyes can't see what the mind doesn't know.
So can you tell us more about Marsden, about your relationship with him? How was it?
I don't think there's anyone who had met Marsden who wouldn't adore him. I mean, it was sort of a universal thing that you couldn't just help be charmed by this powerful yet human personality. Who was obviously so brilliant in his mind and his expertise academically, and later, subsequently, of course, at a more personal level as well. So he was an outstanding person, intellectually, clinically, and also as a teacher. I think it was I would say, an honor and a privilege that I worked with him for such a long time. And I think if you think about it, the current, almost all the leadership of the Movement Disorder Society currently also, they are all his proteges. You think about Tony Lang, Mark Callett, Jose Obeso, Philip Thompson,
Right.
John Roth. You just name it, and all of these people who have worked at Marsden, and they will all tell you the same. So we were, I think, in a sense, we were all really privileged that we worked with him. And what more can one say?
So when Marsden left, I heard that there was for you places that you were called to other places to work, to US or to other places. But was it true that you were called to work at other places?
No, it was actually during the time of Marsden. I had an offer from, my Nina, my wife, was never completely happy with England. She, particularly in the winter months, she really used to get upset with the weather and so on. And her brother was in America, so she has this thing that maybe we should go to America. And she's 6 years junior to me, and so when she was doing her exams here for her anesthesia, I was sitting around and twiddling my thumbs, and she would say, "Now do something and give the exams for America."
Oh,
So I did all the exams in one go, and all the flex and everything.
right.
And then Bill Kohler, who was in Kansas, was asked me at some meeting whether I would like to join him. And he, in fact, arranged everything when the visa and everything was done. But this is fate, this is how things happen.
Right.
On that particular day, when he sent me the papers through a fax thing, which I had to sign and send back, Marsden's secretary, Beth, was ill. And Marsden was himself manning the fax machine. And he found this thing, which said, about me going to Kansas. And he sort of came to my fellow's office and, "What is this?" So I said, "Oh, it's this thing for the visa to..." He says, "No, no, you're not going." And he tore it up. And then he put a thing saying no, and he faxed that back. So, yeah. And he said, "Kansas, it's the back of the beyond. You're not going there." He says, so not that he promised me anything there in England, but he said, "Just hold on, wait."
Right.
But yeah, so yeah, there were some offers and also afterwards, but I think I was by then quite embedded in Queensquare, and that's where I stayed.
Right. Going on to next, that you have many times mentioned other people who have influenced you, like Professor Vadia, Professor Singhal, of course, Anita Harding, and Marsden you just spoke about. Apart from them, is there anyone else who influences your life, maybe a younger generation or present one, or a not from scientific world, anyone that you would like to?
Yeah, I think, I should mention, I should also mention Neil Quinn. Neil, when Neil was also Marsden's, he was not he had worked as a fellow, but he was a senior lecturer. And when Marsden passed away, we were sort of, even before that, of course, we were friends. And Neil is a very, very nice personality, very good clinician, and also a human person who helped me a lot. I think Neil was very, very good to me, and we are very good friends even now. And I think over time, there are people who are not at Queensquare, but whom you met in the movement disorder field. Kapil Sethi, I would consider him as a very good friend and gave me advice from time to time. Tony Lang, I would say, is a friend and who also, supported and gave me advice from time to time. So these are other people in the field, I think, who were very, very good to me, and still are very good friends. So in the, I think outside that, I think one person who's always I've had was my father, who passed away about 5 years ago. But he was the person I would turn to if I ever had any worries or difficulties. He was very sound and very straight. He was but his best mantra was, and he was talking in Hindi, and he would say, something like, at the worst, what can happen? Kya ho jayega? What can be the worst that can happen? Doesn't matter, Because we are there, no? So, and that was such a supportive thing, which he would say. And, so yeah, I think these are the people, and you have. You need to have some people supporting you, and need to have some good friends, I think, in life, whom you can turn to and without worrying about being judged.
True. Very true.
Where you can say to them what you really feel, and they can answer, or even at least listen, if not answer, without judgment.
Yeah.
You need that.
True. Especially like what you said, your father said that, do it. Don't worry about the other things. Just
at the worst, what can happen?
That's what parents
Yeah.
That kind of support really makes you do anything in the world. I mean, you go for anything.
Yes.
Next, I'm going to ask you about these two beautiful girls in your life, your better half Nina and Nikki. Tell us something about them. We have never heard much about them from you.
Absolutely. My life is run by the two ladies, and Nina is, I told you, was with I met her in JJ. She was 6 years younger than us, and I happened to meet her, and by chance, and we are here still now, still together. And Nikki, of course, is wonderful. She's now 27, I think. She's a grown-up girl, very sensible, lovely. I've been blessed that I've had two people in my life who have been very supportive and understanding and loving. Indeed. And Nina is a consultant herself in St. Thomas's Hospital, and done very well on her own accord, actually.
Right. And apart from this family, you have a few friends like Peter Mishra, Professor Mohit Bhatt. Would you like to tell us something about them also?
Yeah. Well, what is there to say? But yeah, we go a long way back from the JJ times. So Peter was actually a registrar when we were house officers in neurology. And Peter was the first one who came here to England through Professor Bhatia. I think it would be fair to say that he was the blue-eyed boy of Professor Bhatia, and definitely charming, and this many people in JJ will tell you that. And Peter, I, and Mohit were very good friends, and I think we still are. And so there was, apart from Mohit, we had a small little, when we were in JJ together, we had a little group of friends, Ketan Parekh, Jawahar Mansikani, and so on. So it was a nice little gang. We had good fun. We are still friends, and that's amazing. Peter and Mohit, we still have a chat every second Sunday.
Oh.
So we have a fixed time.
Okay.
It's called the boys' call. And sometimes you never grow up in these matters.
Good to know that. That we anyways would like to know more about this, but I think I have less of time and need to ask more of questions that have been given to me by many of your friends.
Sure.
Apart from writing scientific papers and research, do you write something non-scientific as well? And if yes, what's the latest that you have been writing?
No, I've been trying to write this actually now for a number of years. So this is it's not a academic or medical thing, but it is definitely influenced by, I was a sort of, as I told you, from a middle-class background. And when you come to JJ, you're thrust into the world, so as to say. Things which you didn't experience in your cocooned middle-class secure background. You sort of see the world there. And I made a little note of I kept a little diary of some interesting things which patients or events in a little note book. And so I'm using that. It's fictional, but it is using a particular event. The rest of it is all fictional. So let's say somebody comes to you with, I was just recently writing a patient who had, the mama came and said, "Khoon ki ulti, khoon ki ulti." And if you remember, in every Hindi movie, there's always this scene about, in the older movies, of this dramatic scene of khoon ki ulti, which is actually not even ulti, it's a hemoptysis or something like that. But anyway, I was using that particular case and building around it. Or we used to have a lot of these patients with TIC20 poisoning, women who would take this to they didn't actually want to commit suicide quite often. They were basically scaring, making a statement,
Right.
and they were desperate. And I found that quite traumatizing. And I used to, events like that. And I'm hoping that I can find an agent and publish it eventually. I'm nearly finished. So I've been writing that for the last 9 years, actually, slowly, because I don't get time for the limited time I get, but it's now nearly done.
And which all languages are you going to release this in?
It's in English, but there are bits of it in Hindi which are translated like that.
Because you said "Khoon ki ulti," so I thought maybe
that's
it's going to be in Hindi.
That's the title of one of the chapters.
And of course, now since we're talking about writing scientific papers or books, I'm really wanting to know more about MDCP, how this idea came into what the MDCP journal.
Yeah, so I think amongst the two things which I consider, maybe, people always ask you about what do you think is a legacy? Is there a legacy? I mean, maybe it's too early to talk about legacies, but I think there are two things which I take pride in to say that I did a good job. One is the finishing Marsden's book. So Marsden's Book of Movement Disorders, which I took 9 years again to write. And I think that was that's a highlight of my life, I think. Because there never will again be a book like that to put that together. The second was, of course, MDCP, which we started and which now, as you know, is a very, very well-read, well-accepted clinical journal. And the thing came about because I was the associate editor of the MDJ with Jose Bezo and Warren Olono. And at some stage, I think there was a thought that maybe we needed separate out the journal to a more scientific, high impact, and then one which would cater to the clinical side. And this was the advent of the MDCP in 2014. So we started with a brand new journal, and so many journals around, you can see how difficult it can be to start a new journal and make it viable and make it successful. And I was really delighted to hear recently one of the doyens in the field saying that he now only mainly reads MDCP because he finds it relevant to his practice. So yeah, it's been a journey, but I think this journal has, I think is really, and it has a lot of people from India publishing in it. It has given a voice to clinicians, great clinicians in India, which we know are there in the field. And so many papers I get from India, and it's great to see that. I'm really happy.
That's very true.
And I've supported the Indian, my colleagues in this context, made them write. And
many residents and many fellows, I think they really look forward to this journal and sending their papers. It's true.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of them write very good stuff there now. So it's very good. It's been a very big success. That's a great success. And we're just going to get the impact factor in a few months. So I think that help it even more.
That's amazing. Congratulations on that.
Thanks.
I think now we're going to move to very difficult questions.
Oh, blimey. I thought we finished that. No.
But I shall tell you that these were not entirely drafted by me. It was a lot
that's even worse.
From different parts of the world that people told me these questions from. The first one is that, can you please reveal us where is your tailor from, who stitches your suits? Which country is that tailor from? And before you answer this, I must compliment you, yes, that you dress very elegantly and amazingly all the time. So they really want to know who's your designer and tailor.
Well, I don't have a fixed designer or tailor, but I like to buy. I must say that, I've been very, over the years, I've had so many fellows, and I've been particularly had fellows from Italy. And Italy is a place which I really is, I used to say, in fact, I think I probably said it once, that if God was there. In Hindus, we believe in rebirth.
Yeah.
And I was saying that if there was being reborn, and then God was saying, well, there's no place in India now. Of course, I want India first, but then I would say, okay, then second choice, Italy. So I like it so much. So I have a little fetish for Italian things, particularly Italian suits and Italian shoes. And of course, Italian food and visiting Italy. But so this is mainly because I've had so many friends and colleagues and fellows from Italy.
What other interests you outside the medicine? Is there any form of art that you follow as your passion?
I would certainly not call myself an artist of any sort, but my father was a photographer. Apart from working for the government, he did many one-man shows. I don't think many people know this, but he did at least 5 one-man shows in Jahangir Art Gallery in Mumbai. Jahangir Art Gallery is like one of the best galleries, and it's difficult actually to show your work there, particularly in those days. So he was very, very good at photography, and he was interested in life in India, and he used to do these black and white pictures, which were quite sensational and touched humanity, so as to say. So I think he used to make me. He didn't have a proper dark room, and he didn't have proper equipment, so he had converted one room into a dark room, and I used to sit there, giving him the timing, and so I get to learn how to just by watching and going around with him. So I like to do some photography.
All right.
And and I also try and, so currently my subject, maybe also related to age, I guess, is reflections.
Okay.
So reflections about life, but also reflections in using reflections in photography.
But are you learning it from somewhere, or it's just that you're...
No, I haven't. It's just having learned it from him. I think I'm not doing any courses or anything now.
Okay. You have traveled extensively for many scientific sessions. Is there any particular place that is your favorite or that has captured your attention in particular?
I think there are 2 places which I can't say one, but I would say 2. One of my, again, it's Italy, of course. It's Venice. I really like Venice. And the other place, which is an unusual thing to say, I guess, is Chile. Patagonia.
Okay.
Fantastic. Patagonia. Chile on both sides, I know. The Atacama Desert up there and Patagonia. And I did the trek. I trekked, it's called the Torres. Torres is a peak, three peaks, that's Torres.
Mm-hmm.
So I did the base camp on Torres. It's wild.
Yeah.
Chile is such a wind-swept, when I say wind, it's quite amazing how windy Patagonia is, and it's spectacular. So if you're talking about a city setting, then of course Italian cities. Venice is lovely. Other cities. But if you talk about nature and outstanding, then India is of course brilliant, but Chile is something quite amazing.
I knew about Italy, but I was not very sure about the other one. But
if you want to go, and it's really wild. I still haven't seen the Argentinian side of Patagonia. That's another to-do list. Yeah.
You have a lot of liking for bikes, be it your first red Yamaha bike or your Kawasaki Z400 after that. What's your next bike going to be?
Well, if I was allowed, then it'd be a Ducati.
Allowed?
Yeah, Nina is very against. She worked in the trauma unit at the Royal London, and she was in the helicopter thingy, and there were too many bikers who I think she had treated with a terrible. So the thing here in London, at least in England, is that the weather is, unpredictable, a bit wet,
right,
and the slippery and the bikes and the traffic here is at quite a high speed. So it can be, two wheels can be a bit tricky.
But I read somewhere.
But I think, one of my this is that I'll spend some more time in India when I'm in a few years, and then maybe I'll get a bike in India while I'm there for those few months. I was thinking of a BMW Boxer, the old type.
Wow.
There's a new model of that.
Okay. Because I read somewhere that
cylinders which are horizontal, which come out like that, or a Boxer. They call it Boxer.
You mentioned in some talk that you would like to travel from Kerala to London on a bike.
Yeah. There was a dream to do that, but now with the troubles in Afghanistan and so on, the land route is very difficult. But at one time there used to be a bus from London to Nepal, or even to India. There used to be a bus service. It started at Trafalgar Square. You could get in and go all the way.
And how many days would it take?
I can't remember. I wasn't there at that time, but there used to be a bus service, I'm told.
All right. So that gave you the idea that maybe you can go.
You can. You can, actually.
Right. And I follow you quite much on this health app, Strava. And you're definitely very disciplined in your walks and your cycle rides. So is that the secret to your fitness, or what else do you enjoy?
I don't know if I'm fit, but I like to run a little bit. So in the last some years, I've taken to cycling to work 3 times a week.
Right.
And London has become more amenable to cyclists, so a lot of people are cycling.
Right.
And actually, I haven't. Last year, I used my car. My car just did, you won't believe it, 1,600 kilometers in the whole year.
Oh.
Most of the thing I was cycling. And I think that's the way forward. Everybody's doing that here.
I think because of COVID, there were...
Not just the COVID, I think the environment factor. Secondly, of course, from the health point of view, etc. So if I'm cycling from here, it's about 11 kilometers each way. And it's good. It's good.
That's what I was telling, that COVID has given insight to many people for looking after their health and, of course, after the environment.
Yeah. But I've been cycling for 5 or 6 years now. So even before COVID, we had, made a conscious decision to try and cycle at least 3 times a week.
Dr. Mohit Bhatt has started another trend, actually, in that he has joined movies.
Yes, yeah. He's a star, Bollywood star.
So any plans of yours like such?
No, I don't think I fit in that category now.
Right. I think we should end it here. And thank you so much, Prof, for letting us know so much about you. Because for many of us, it's like a dream to know about what are you in actual life? Do you also do cycling, or do you also watch TV, Bollywood?
I definitely watch TV and Bollywood, yes.
So when we get to know more of you, that how are you in college or in your bike or pursuing your passions, it really makes us believe that life is not all about the scientific papers and not all about that science, but it's about perseverance and zeal to do anything that you love the most. It can be anything.
I think that's absolutely true. I mean, it would be very sad that if life was just about academics and papers and so on. So life has to be lived, I think, as best possible to the fullest, So you probably have to try and balance the various facets of your life so that you can, and it can be tricky because we are so driven, all of us, in our pursuit of trying to find this elusive thing of success. But one should, I think, try our best to live all these other facets, not ignore them, enjoy them.
True.
So much more.
We often try to compare success with work. It's a false.
Yeah, that's a mistake, I think.
Yeah. And one should do everything, including movement disorders, or stroke, or epilepsy, or hiking, or biking, or singing, dancing, or writing a book, like you are doing, or poetry, like I do sometimes. So we should do
We look forward to seeing your poetry.
Once. So, anything you want to say to end this beautiful conversation we had with you? Any message for all of us?
No, I think, firstly, thanks for, interviewing me and giving me a chance to speak. I think what I want to say is that each of us is successful in one's own way. Okay, I know that, I see people who are not necessarily in academics or whatever, but I've seen them succeed in their own circumstance, right? And I think it's very important not to ignore that or miss that. There may be somebody who has come from a middle class or background and has made a successful practice. He may not have done a single paper, but he has looked after his family, he has bought himself up, he has contributed to society. That is success too.
True.
So we shouldn't just think about success being, success in academics and so on. Everybody has made a success. There are so many stories which we don't hear, but they are very successful in their own ways.
That's why I wanted to share your story, to let other people know that there can be different ways of success. Prof, we're going to share some pictures now, and I hope you like them. And maybe you can comment on a few of them if you remember them. Okay.
Where did you get that? That's a very old picture.
Yes.
It must be this must be just when I was entering medical
This was
school.
for your undergraduation?
Yeah, undergrad, yeah.
Professor Mohit Bhatt gave us this.
He was the only one who would have it. Yeah, that's even... This is the hippie days. Long hair and funny mustache.
But I really love the glasses. I mean, those
Yes,
aviators, style is very nice.
Yes, weird glasses. That's my bike. That's Nina.
Yes.
When we were going around in JJ. That's JJ Hospital behind. Yeah, that's the... This is when I first arrived in London. Peter is in the middle. Peter Misra had hosted me. There's some other JJ people here.
Okay.
Farhad Kapadia and some others. That's me in the side.
Yeah.
That's this is in Regent's Park, next to Regent's Park, near the Royal College.
It's so different now, the Regent's Park. And
yeah.
When was this? How many years back?
Oh, this is 88.
1988, right?
Oh, 89, something like that. 89,
Okay.
89 probably.
Right.
Yeah, this is probably the only... It's funny that I don't have many pictures with David Marsden. This is probably the few, and this Kalyan Bhattacharya had, and there's Neil Quinn and Kalyan and David, of course, always dapper, smart.
I really like Marsden's style. I mean,
yeah.
there are very few
You can
pictures
see that I didn't. You can see that suit I'm wearing is not an Italian suit. It's an Indian suit. I didn't have the money at that time to have Italian suits. You can see the difference. Marsden is Italian.
Pictures of Marsden that we have. And I don't know why I have this, I think that you and Marsden have this peculiar similarity that... So
I don't know if it happens by chance or, subliminally one gets, there are people who work with Dr. Singhal, for example, and they acquire his, ways. I guess it just rubs on you. Exactly. I don't do it, but it just happens, I think.
Has anyone told you this? That
No, nobody has told me.
We're just comparing the pictures.
No. Nobody has told me that. Interesting. Yeah, Neil Quinn, I mentioned you already, and a really good friend, very nice person, great clinician. Really.
I think I had the fortunate to listen to him when I was at London. There was a basal ganglia round that he was there for.
Yeah. Yes, that's my new cycle.
That's the latest
It's
one.
a fabulous Cannondale, very light. And that's our neighbor's cat, actually, who visits us and pretends that's his house. And he looks very much, he's almost like our cat, except that in the evening he goes home back to it.
She's like in the
The
daytime.
whole day, at 7:45 he's here, and then he's here the whole day.
She seems very comfortable there.
He's very comfortable. He believes this is his house.
That's another bike.
That's another one of my office. It's a very nice English bike, Condor. That's my very messy office.
Is that
the Ducati? Yeah, that's what I want.
Right. Is that
this is a HMT, you know?
Yes.
It's an Indian watch.
That's
HMT. These are, I like to have a little collection of old watches. That's a Oris, the one on the left.
Yes.
It's a pilot's watch.
Okay.
Old watch.
This is
these I was telling you. These are the pictures, reflections. So reflections. And this, all of these. So you see, there are so many beautiful. Sometimes the beauty is in the reflection. Than in the actual picture.
The reflection is more beautiful than the actual reality.
More powerful and poignant. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, look at that.
Where was this hike that you?
I think this is. I went with my daughter and Mrs. This is in England, but I can't remember where it is. Yeah, and this is my Saturday, Sunday run.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter how cold it is. Yeah, a really fetish for shoes.
I'm sure by now you know who was sent.
This is Mohit, I'm sure.
The fittest results.
Yeah, well, nice suit. Yeah. So that's Nina and Nikki. Indeed. Wonderful. This is us. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, this must be, where was this?
This seems to be in London, maybe, is it?
No, I think this is, it looks like a European city. Could be London. I don't know. I can't remember.
Okay.
That's Mohit, yeah.
Mohit sir looks quite different in this. I mean, very handsome.
Very handsome. Always was. And that's Peter. This is one of the meetings.
Right. So we always like this, the gang together.
The gang, yeah. Now these are the two others I was telling you in our gang. So Ketan and Jawar. These are some of the, very important people. You see, they all have fun. So that's Eva Jeed and Joe Jankovic. This was in Nice.
Yes.
We had a great dinner, great fun. Very nice.
I'm going to share very boring pictures.
I didn't mention my fellows, and I think, they have been amazing. Jas, there's you.
That's me.
Yeah. I've been very privileged and very fortunate that I've had such wonderful fellows. This time when you were there, this was a very large gang. So people
I
from
remember. It was so difficult to fit in that room, but
Ireland, Canada, Italy, Malaysia. Fabulous, wonderful. Yeah, so every summer I have a little summer party for fellows. And this is
shared to me by Shahida, who's in
and Amit, don't forget Amit Butler.
Yes,
Amit is one of my favorite fellows, and now of course he's a consultant from India. Yeah, so every Friday evening we have a pub meeting. This is not a pub, this is a dinner, I think, somewhere, but in the Swan, and it's reserved for us in the pub meeting.
Maybe this is that pub that near to
This
Queensquare.
one, this is the Swan. Yes,
Yeah.
you're there. Yeah. This is the
This
Swan.
is probably the only time I went there.
And we won't tell anyone.
No, actually, I got
Wonderful.
into the idea of having wine after that.
That's right. Yeah. This
That
is
was
a tapas. The one on the left is a tapas bar,
yes,
the Spanish
remember.
foods. And this is again the Swan.
I don't remember exactly the occasion.
It's a red leather, those.
Yeah, so
The
far.
Swan. Wonderful.
I think Sonia was also there with us in this.
Yes, Sonia Gandhi was there. Others were there. That's terrific. What a nice collection of memories. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'll share with you, I think, this presentation.
Yeah, that'll be terrific.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Jas. That's wonderful.
That's about all. And it was really amazing talking to you. Thank you so much, Prof. Thank you.
It's been my pleasure and privilege. Thank you.